Welcome. This insignificantly looking plant is extremely interesting. It belongs to a large group of succulent plants called stapeliads, and stapeliads are famous for being pollinated by flies. They have developed, through the evolutionary processes, they have developed strategies to attract flies as their pollinators, and they do that by producing flowers that smell like rotting meat and are of colors of rotting meat. This plant is called Stapelia variegata or Orbea variegata, and when it blooms, the flower can fill up the room with the very unpleasant smell of a garbage bin or rot or something equally nasty. And the flower is actually beautiful. It looks like a five-pointed star, and it has colors of yellow, red, brown, burgundy. Really pretty flower. I will put a link down below and at the end of this video to my other video where this plant is in bloom, where I am showing you the flower of this plant. The reason why I'm showing it to you right now, even though there is no beautiful flower on it, is that this plant produced a seed pod. This is a seed pod. When it opens, and it will split along this line, it will be filled with seeds, and each seed will have a little bit of fluff attached, as the seeds are designed to be spread by the wind. And I might put a little plastic bag on top of the seed pod when it's ready to open, in order to collect the seeds, because otherwise they will just fly away, because otherwise it would be very difficult to collect them all, and many of them will be lost. And I hope they will be viable seeds, and I hope I will be able to plant at least some of them and have fun watching them grow, watching them sprout. The reason I am making a video about it, and the reason I am so excited about this seed pod, is that it's actually very rare to see seeds produced by a stapeliad in a collection. They are pollinated by flies, and the mechanism of pollination is so complex that only flies can do that, and somehow a person holding a brush is not nearly as effective as a fly, so that it's very difficult to pollinate it artificially. The pollen is not actually a pollen, a single grain of pollen. The pollen is clustered into clusters called pollinium, and those pollinia are quite large, and in order for them to be placed exactly where they need to be placed, in order to pollinate the plant, a fly is required. Somehow flies can do something that people cannot. And that's why I'm so happy to see the seed pod on this plant. I actually have had this plant for close to 20 years probably. Not necessarily the same specimen, because it has a lifespan. So the stems that are rooted have a lifespan, and they tend to die after a certain period of time. And then what I need to do, occasionally I have to root new stems, plant a new plant, in order to keep this clone, this plant alive. But I've had this clone for probably more than 2 decades now. And it only happened once before that a seed pod was produced, and I didn't make any records of it, because at that time I didn't really know that it was a very rare occurrence. What is also extremely important is that this seed pod developed only close to a year after the flower was pollinated. This plant is quite easy to bloom, and what happened last year, it had a flower after flower after flower, and then at one point there was something that looked like a flower bud, but a little bit bigger, and never opened, and I thought it was just a weird flower bud that went into dormancy. However, ta-da! This year I can see that it was a pollinated flower. It was a seed pod. It was a seed pod to be. So I am making a video about it just to show it to you, just to make a record of it. I am very excited to see it, and I am very excited to have a plant that keeps surprising me after 20 years of our, how shall I put it, relationship, cooperation. Plant keeping is a very exciting hobby indeed. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you can see why I like this plant a lot and why this is one of my favorite plants. Have an amazing day.